Hello, everyone. Namaste. It's William Jason O'Mara, and this is a mock of what I'm preparing to do for a 20-minute TED Talk. So I'm going to go for it here as if I was entering a stage. I don't have my overheads with me, but I'll point to them. And I'd love your feedback. What do you think of this? So I'll take a breath and let's begin. Good morning. I was a 17-year-old underage bartender in 1979. And every day, it was a great training for me. Every day people would come into the bar, like it's just classic like you see in the movies. And I'm 17. Business owners, real estate agents, college professors, they'd sit at the bar and get their Manhattan or martini, and they would talk to the bartender, right, about all their stuff, all their problems. And I was fascinated by this because I don't know what made them think I would have any great wisdom, being the young whippersnapper that I was, but they would do it anyway. And I just learned to kind of be a good listener and reflect back, like, especially if they were talking about their wife, I'd say, have you talked to her about this? Maybe she might want to, talk, hear this. And they would always get value out of just having someone to hear them and someone to reflect something back to them. And one day, one of the college professors gave me this magical book. I think it was called New Rules, Searching for Self-Fulfillment in a World Turned Upside Down by Daniel Yankelevich. And it was a book on social psychology, of case studies of people who completely changed their lives by following a different pulse. In other words, their families and everything they'd ever learned taught them to go down a particular path. And they were trying to fulfill that, only to find out it didn't fit. One of the ones that really was most touched me was this young man in New York City who was a bond broker. His father was a bond broker, his brothers were, everyone was, and they all made big money and lived hoity-toity lifestyles and had all the perks. But he did it and decided, gee, this doesn't follow my pulse. It doesn't really work for me. So he ends up, through a lot of courage, disentangling from his family and moves up to Vermont and becomes a school teacher and a baseball coach. And, as they follow the case study, he's quantumly happier because that's his pulse, right? That feels right to him. And there were others in that book that were just brilliant. And for my young mind reading this, it was kind of a moment of destiny. Fast forward now, 35 plus years later, you can see on the overhead here, I created a group called Follow the Pulse of Joy. And there's the cups and the t-shirts and all that stuff and people. And it has become such a remarkable explosion of alignment for me, growing up near that bond broker. I grew up around people who were bond brokers and wealthy CEOs and everything. And I always felt like, I have to be stoic and serious and get a degree and be taken seriously. Here's me on the overhead here at age 6, right? I was never really a very joyful kid. There's me being cranky on my birthday. There's me looking sad over here. Over here is our family tree. The name O'Mara means the jolly ones. When I saw that for the first time, I literally fell off the chair thinking there's nobody in our family who's ever been jolly. This is about the most intense, serious, good people. But you know what I'm saying? If you look at a lot of, there wasn't a lot of laughter and love and kindness and happiness floating around. So nobody's fault. So through the course of my life, after reading that book and getting a degree and following, I finally just kind of dawned on me inside and through looking at neuroscience, quantum physics, positive psychology, all of it, that joy was sacred medicine. Joy is sacred medicine. And I'm talking about rooted joy, not the joy that we think of that's just childish, silliness. It reminds me of Scripture. In the Scripture it says, one must be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. Think about that for a second. One must be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. What do you think that means? To be a child. In its highest, best way, right? What do children do? They're present, they're playful, they're not attached, they're curious, they're willing to discover, they're willing to laugh. If they're mad for a minute, they shake it off and they go back and play. It's there's something about that that is so profound. So what does it mean to follow the pulse of joy? And I'll start by saying that our bodies are like a tuning fork. Like we have intuition in here, we have our truth. There's pulse, right? That connects us to that child, to the heaven, to all that is. And there's like a dial on our chest. And I just want to invite you to take a second and turn that dial, just look at it, see where it's at. The pulse of joy dial, we'll call it, and see where it's at and see if it's down at 1 or 2. And would you like to turn it up to 8 or 7 or 10 even? What is it where you like to pull it up to give yourself permission? And this is really my biggest message to you today. I'm not going to come here with a bunch of neuroscience slides about what mindfulness is teaching us. We know, of course, that mindfulness, resilience, energy practices help release more positive neurochemicals. It helps your mind, emotions, and health in so many different ways. It's so out there that I'm not going to go there. What I want to do instead is, if you came from a background like me, where everything is serious and intense and it's a struggle, we're entangled in this and life is just, one thing after another, see if you can just give yourself permission for a different paradigm. Rooted joy. Turn it on. Now, what do I mean by rooted joy? Let me talk about this in 3 steps. It's almost like looking at a beautiful tree that's rooted, and it's got that, like a good maple tree. Like we know there's sap comes out of those maples. There's a heart system that pumps those nutrients from the soil and the water and the sun down. Like these are profound beings, right? The roots, the heart, and then the branches lifting to the sun. And humans, our physiology is very similar, right? We have feet that are on the earth, we have a heart pumping, and we have these arms that can reach and hug and love, So see joy as these 3 parts. The rooted part is compassion. That life is messy. It's not always, pink paint and happiness and ice cream sundaes. So being strong enough to be compassionate and present through whatever messiness shows up is a kind of a Jedi skill. Right? How can I be present and compassionate? This is where mindfulness training really does help, right? So I'm not thrown by life and every thought and every situation. I'm here, available. There's a great scene in the movie Little Buddha, right? Where Keanu Reeves playing Little Buddha is like, there's a scene where he's being attacked by his, by life, by the mind. Here comes women seducing him and warriors trying to kill him and money lenders trying to, pull him off. Like all of it, and he's just smiling and paying no attention. And yet fully in his heart and his compassion and his love. That's a power. And every day people need your compassion, right? Your family, people are having struggles. It doesn't mean we disentangle, right? We detach, but we're fully available to connect and love and serve. That's powerful. Step 2 then, as you do that, your heart starts to open. The courage of who you are starts to build. And I think that's a lot of times why the challenges of our life do happen. As the Dalai Lama writes in The Art of Happiness, is, all of this brings a great compassion in all of us for life, that people, this isn't an easy journey, right? So we start building our courage. The heart opens. All the aspects of divinity start to ignite, graciousness and kindness and love and beauty and receptivity and abundance and caring and generosity. And we step into that, and that's beautiful. And then finally, right, as these gateways open in us, more and more playfulness and joy naturally starts to happen, right? We start to lift, because the sun, right? Think of yourself lifting your hands up and face to the sun, where the trees get all this nourishment, all this light, all this photosynthesis. We're part of that too. And the sun is just this beautiful representation of beaming, smiling, always giving. It's happiness personified, right? It never stops giving. It just is beautiful, right? And so with compassion and courage, we start to enter this little more permission each day, right? Wow, life can be fun. Life can be playful. Life can be a wonderful adventure. Have you ever seen the movie A Beautiful Life, where this man and his young child are put in a concentration camp under the most horrible circumstances? But the father of this child doesn't know how, or doesn't have the desire to tell the child that they're in hell. So he makes this, every day becomes a game and a play, and they're actually having fun in this craziness. And it's a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. You can be compassionate, You can be courageous and be the divinity and grace you are, and you can also have a good time. Matrix, red pill, blue pill. Do you want to sit in the struggle of this is hell on earth and everything? Or like Kurt Vonnegut said, no matter what, it's still a beautiful place. I'm going to take the blue pill. I'm going to step into a new embodiment, a new choice. Turn on the dial. Turn on your pulse of joy. It's available to you. Now, I think it would behoove me to take a moment to think, what are the obstacles in this pursuit? Like, what could trip anybody up? And there may be many, there may be unlimited ones. There may be, real life stuff you've got to deal with. Trauma and hurt are available. But I think part of every healing eventually is allowing yourself to feel good again. Allowing yourself to go play again, go see a movie, go down and stick your feet. Many of my books, like Walk and Balance, I give people dozens of things like, well, what could you do today that would feel good? That your child would enjoy. Riding a bike. Like I had a bike, I was on a bike my whole childhood. Always, there's a picture of me on a bike. and then like in my 20s and 30s, it all went away, right? In the seriousness of trying to be an adult. And then I eventually bought a bike. Now I'm on a bike. It's one of my happiest things. And I love water. So every day, so it's almost like asking yourself, what do I love? That's part of the pulse of joy. I love being outside. I love playing my guitar. I love being out by the water. I love taking a nap in the hammock. I love sitting in a bubble bath with my beloved. I love, right? Can you give yourself just that little bit of a break from the heaviness, the challenges and the conflicts of life, and step into that? And what if we could each, here's where this really becomes powerful for me. What if we could each kind of like pass that along? The sacred medicine. It's almost like having a sacred vial. You could just drink the sacred medicine that would lift everyone up, to turn on this dial, right? Like, let's be beacons, lighthouses. The world needs people who are centered in compassion, courage, and playfulness, in joy, and fun, right? Like rooted, like it's not fake, it's not phony, it's not stupid. It's really, really who you are. And that starts to ripple through, right? And you can send it out, like a little ripple of that to Congress, a little ripple of that to people in foreign countries who are doing crazy things, certain dictators, just like open your heart, man, have a little fun, do what's good for the world, stop that nonsense, and then we become, whether we do it actively or just by beaming the light we change. So many people can change. There's a book called Power versus Force that says as you raise, to these higher frequencies of love and divinity, like we're having an impact on thousands of people without even having to talk to them, right? Like the Emoto studies on water. We're all water in a unified field, right? As one of us changes, it has ripple effects on all of us. So there's many reasons to do this, even if there are obstacles inside of yourself that need to be healed, even if there are tough times you're having, even if the people at work don't do it, even if this, even if that, like you make the choice. Take a breath with me now. And choose now to just put everything down that you no longer need to carry. Just disentangle from it. Pull back your energy just for a moment. You can go back and take it back later if you want. And go to your heart. Say, heart, I'm here. I'm listening. I want to hear what you have to say, what you love to do. Even if that doing is nothing. A whole bunch of beingness. And choose now to turn on that dial of pulse of joy. To full. To now. And then watch how your thoughts, your mood, your energy, your physiology, your physical body, the increased level of neurochemicals, dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin will increase. Everything will shift for the better. It just starts with that one decision. I'm worth it. I'm going to give myself permission for this sacred medicine of joy. And with joy and all the work that I do, there are practices, of course, right? Meditation and joy practices and everything that can help augment this. But it starts with the permission. Don't let yourself go through life all serious, right? Get to your deathbed. How many people, what are the studies on I wish I would have enjoyed life a little bit more. Nobody ever says, I wish I spent another hour in the office or another hour in conflict, another hour suffering. Life is short. It's a beautiful, magical, amazing gift. So follow the pulse of joy. It's here. You've now turned it on. Listen to yourself. In here, the mind will tell you all sorts of things. Let it go. Cast that burden to the earth. Put it in the sacred bowl. Give it to God and say, I choose to have a little fun. Have a little fun with my family. Have a little fun with my kids. Have a little fun at work. Have a little fun. Just enjoy it. Put a smile on people's face. Be a little upbeat. Rooted joy, right? We're not talking about, as I mentioned before, silliness, ridiculousness, going out for happy hour and getting drunk, all those things that aren't really healthy, wholesome joy. So find the ways that work for you. Live it, embody it, change the world. Sounds good, doesn't it? If you're in with me, raise your hand and say yes. I will. I choose it. This is my destiny to enjoy this wonderful sacred life. Thank you. Amen. There's my information for more. Pulse of Joy Community on Facebook. Bye now. Bye.